Okay. Today I have a great guest with me. This is Dr. Professor Scott. He's a chemistry teacher, a spiritual person, and you teach also meditation. And he's a great person and a good friend. And he is making his money at the moment with online education. He is traveling the world, and I think it's interesting to do with you the interview because people look for answers, and you have a rare combination of views. You have the scientist way of seeing things, and also the spiritual way, and maybe today we can talk a little bit about what we can do both ways, scientific way, maybe a little bit what's your opinion about that, and spiritually how we can ground ourselves, calm ourselves, maybe even boost our immune system a little bit, and maybe in the end we can do meditation or relaxation exercise. So I let you speak. First, your opinion. What we should do? Should we panic?
Well, thanks, Kaya, and welcome everybody. Yeah, really, really great questions. And, I think that's kind of maybe the nature of the times. This is a big kind of global event that's happening. It's, maybe the first time that the whole world has seen this sort of thing. And I think it's definitely the case that there's a lot more questions than answers out there. And I've been a career scientist for many decades, and I think that science, has a big role to play, maybe more so, in the long term fight against the coronavirus. There may be some medicines that come out, there may be a vaccine that comes out, and this may all take maybe, a year or more for the sort of chemistry to catch up with the situation in the ground. And, maybe as a sort of long-term solution, science is going to have some answers, but, kind of what is the potentially scary thing, the potentially, panic invoking thing here is that science doesn't really have the answers in the short time. At the moment there's no cure, there's no vaccine, and a lot of what the different scientific agencies, the World Health Organization and so on, are recommending to people is honestly maybe a little bit more just what we'd call common sense than hardcore science. The washing of the hands, the keeping it clean, the distancing from yourself, from other people, just basically trying, to prevent the spread of the contagion. And, I think this all makes a lot of sense. And yet, the thing here is that we basically all sort of have our personal decisions that we need to make. We kind of all need to choose, what sort of is my acceptable level of risk. And, science, maybe has some answers for society as a whole in terms of medicine that are a year out or so. As far as these sort of personal decisions that we've all got to make, what am I going to do? Where am I going to be? Who am I going to be with? Right? This basic sort of stuff. And I think it's really, a personal decision. It's one of these decisions that we have to make really without a lot of information, without a lot of facts, right? What's going to happen? What's the best course of action? And honestly, nobody knows at this point, right? The science, the government, individuals don't have answers, and yet we've all got to make our choices here. And, for me personally, I think this has been a really kind of interesting period to kind of look within, see what I'm really comfortable with, and just kind of, use my own sort of inner guidance when making decisions in this time. And yet, I feel a lot of the panic that's been happening. People want this external solution right now, it just doesn't simply exist. And I think maybe there's a real fight here, more so than against the virus itself, against panic, against, boredom, anxiety, all these things can happen, all these things that can happen when we're sort of, in our confinement, possibly even in quarantine. So I kind of have a lot, to say, a few different specific points about, sort of looking in, finding your own, sort of inner guidance on this one, and, making those, tough choices that are, going to be best for you, as, well as sort of society as a whole, as we all try to protect ourselves, figure out what level of risk that we're willing to take for ourselves, as well as kind of being considerate of others, trying to stop the spread of this contagion.
So, Scott, we see you now in a wonderful area. You are somewhere on the seaside. I know you are in Mexico, but what you feel now? I mean, I'm in Germany at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and the problem is you are there where you are. You at the moment it's very difficult to travel, even if someone is watching you now and thinks, wow, okay, I want to also go some random island or Mexico, maybe in the jungle, and wait when it's over. But the thing is, it's not even so easy anymore to leave. And also when it comes heart to heart and someone has maybe not is older or a little bit sick, when you really need help, maybe Mexico is not the first choice to be in the world. So I'm at the moment in Germany, in Munich, and I guess I stay here because there is no other chance. I would normally be also at that time in Mexico, as you know. I got the baby this winter, I couldn't travel. But what do you think? Where is the best place for someone to be then in the random?
Yeah.
Should we hide it? Should we hide in the woods? Or should we stay close to the clinics? What we should do?
Yeah, and that's the exact nature of the question. Where to be. I think this is kind of the big question on everybody's mind. And just as a little background, I'm from the United States, so I had the choice to sort of go back to be nearer the medical care. I have been traveling through Mexico for some time. Teaching, working online is actually sort of where I met Kaya in the first place in my travels in Mexico. And I'm actually even kind of away from my normal home, my normal base of operations in Mexico. I happen to be on spring break, and I'm at a pretty remote beach. There's not really a lot of medical care here, but on the other hand, it's kind of really far away from a lot of people. The social distancing hasn't really been a problem. It's pretty easy for me, to avoid people altogether. So you might say, I'm kind of in a little bit more of the hiding out mode than the being close to the medical care. And I'm not, certainly not saying that's the decision that we all should make. We all need to consider for ourselves what's a little bit, what's going to be the best. And those were kind of, my choices: stay in an extremely remote area, a kind of remote area with a little medical care, a very urbanized area with lots of health care. And these are a lot of the choices that, a lot of us are facing. And, again, I was kind of caught in this remote area on vacation. Should I go back? Should I stay? This was the big question. And again, I was kind of trying to look at the facts, look at the statistics, analyze this problem as a chemist, a scientist, and, the data is just not there. A lot of places we really just don't know what's happening yet. And this is why I sort of had to just look within, asking myself in my meditation practice, basically, where was I most comfortable? And this is a technique that I use all the time when I have a decision to make. I just sort of, visualize picture myself in both of these situations where the choice would lead, right? In the United States, in a more populated area of Mexico, in this remote area, and basically just kind of looking at which appeared the most comfortable as I sort of, visualized, which appeared safest, which, I felt most grounded, which area I felt most connected to. And for me, I was really feeling it was the right decision to stay in this remote area, kind of wait things out for the
So,
moment, and maybe a second point to make, first of all, kind of looking within, visualizing, where looks the best, where do you seem to be the most, grounded. A second thing to say, you mentioned, some of us are kind of stuck already. Some of us, might be quarantined, and not able to move. And that, might be the situation now. Now, from what I understand, the sort of best indication from all the science is that this is, we're maybe in the sort of acute phase of this pandemic where it's kind of happening. There's a lot of panic, a lot of action at the moment, but this is, going to play out over at least several months, probably at least 3-4 months. This is going to be an issue. And, for those of us that are kind of in lockdown mode, that might make sense for now, right? But I can't imagine us all just hiding out for the following years. Eventually we're going to all have to get back to life, get back to what we're doing, and you might consider moving. And what I would suggest here, from my scientific opinion, right? We're all going to have to move. We're going to have to be places. We're going to have to do things. What's really spreading this contagion is people that don't know they have it, getting on an airplane, getting on a bus, going to a different city, country, continent, taking it with them. As a whole, as a society, I really think the best thing that we can do is to sort of minimize these movements, right? So you might not be in the type of place where you're able to hide out for the next 4 months, but you might consider, are you going to go to this city and then visit the family and then somewhere else to work, to travel? Can you maybe, be comfortable in the spot that you're at now, have as few movements as possible, right? We're all going to have to move. I'm planning to not stay at this remote beach, probably not for more than a month. And yet, the contagion is not going to be gone within a month, right? We're all going to have to go somewhere. And yet, again, I think the idea is to look at your options, in meditation, asking yourself, sort of visualizing, however, it is that you sort of connect with the information that you already have inside. And again, sort of, 2 questions to ask right now: where is the best place for me to move? And maybe in the future, when I do have to make that move, where is the best place to go to? And if we could maybe all get to where we're going by moving 0 times or 1 time, I think is what's, going to be best for society as a whole. If we can all kind of find the place that we feel most grounded, it's going to be different for everybody. And I can't really help you personally with that, other than to say to look within, where do you want to be right now? Consider the fact that that might not be permanent. Consider the option that you might want to move just once. Trying not to be maybe as mobile as you normally are, to sort of prevent the spread of this contagion.
I mean, you have surely also something to say about how we can boost our immune system. But because I know you use meditation as a tool, and I know it's useful to use it also to give your body more energy.
Mm-hmm.
And also, as a scientist, you know the effects of concentrating on your health, and also concentrating on your health mentally. So tell me briefly what you think. Can we boost our immune system, or you say only only rely on medicine there. Or and then maybe after that we can do small meditation. So, yeah.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the medicine will be coming. It doesn't necessarily exist yet, and yet even if it did, I really don't think that this is the time to rely on medicine. This is a good time to rely on yourself as much as you can. The healthier, the stronger your immune system, maybe the less chance you have of catching, the less chance of having a really bad reaction, the less chance of transmitting, right? So just kind of normal stuff like eating healthy, getting your exercise, maybe even kind of keeping to a routine, right? Nothing really new here, just, sort of simple stuff. Maybe not locking in and just watching Netflix and eating fast food takeout for the next 3 months. But, this is the big battle here that we've all got to find a way to sort of maintain some sense of normalcy, some sense of routine. And, the routine, the exercise, eating healthy is, of course, maybe what any doctor, any physician, any healthcare professional is going to say. And personally, to me, I mean, this is one half of it, taking care of the body, as we always should be doing. And if you've got a healthy lifestyle, great, keep it up. If your food choices, if your exercise choices, maybe aren't that healthy, maybe you've got a few extra hours at home, that you can start to put into thinking about that, about learning, getting a little exercise in, taking the time to cook a healthy meal for yourself, while maybe you have a little bit more time than normal. So that's sort of one half of it, as always, taking care of the physical body, taking care of the mental, taking care of the spiritual, taking care of the emotional body is kind of a whole other story. And again, I think the best thing that we can do here is basically to kind of minimize the anxiety, minimize the fear, right? Kind of staying grounded, staying connected to the present moment, right? Just dealing with the situation that is. And again, maybe you're stuck at home, right? Maybe you could be doing some exercise at home. These are kind of easy, simple things to do to keep the mind in the present moment, as opposed to, focusing on what type of apocalyptic situation could develop in 2 or 3 months. I mean, there's certainly, scientists and leaders out there that are thinking about these sort of things, yet, for the average person at home, just kind of taking it day by day, focusing on the present moment and doing what you can to sort of reduce those fears, reduce those anxieties. And, to me, meditation is an important aspect of that challenge, even just finding a few minutes a day to calm the mind. It's, maybe kind of like hitting the reset button on the computer that's got the wheel spinning, the hourglass spinning. It's not going to solve all your problems, and yet you can't solve all the world's problems. All you can really deal with, all you really have control over, is what's going on inside. And so, those of us that, have sort of mental training, meditation techniques, whatever, maybe you've learned these along the way, now is the great time to apply them. And again, if you don't maybe have some of these techniques, if you're not, clear on how to meditate, how to train the mind, how to maintain mental focus, this might be one of those periods, again, where you have a bit of time on your hand. It might be kind of time to, learn something new, put a few tools on the belt. And it's, maybe always kind of scary learning something new. And yet what we're talking about here, it's just really simple, taking a few minutes a day, doing what you can do to sort of bring that level of mental chatter down, finding a way to calm the mind. It's not going to solve all your problems, and yet over the long run, I feel that the fear or the anxiety is going to be the big problem that, billions of people around the world are going to be dealing with.
And I think it's also spiritually interesting time, because now almost all the world needs to take a little bit time off, and starting to think about, okay, where I'm standing in my life, what I do when I'm alone, what are my thoughts, what I want to do in my life, and so on, because now the people have time, and now they see how they react in extreme situations. So we can see it also a little bit in a positive light, because we see how we are reacting, and we have a big opportunity to learn. Now, maybe you can show us exercise, a meditation technique, what everyone can use now every day at home to calm themselves down and have more energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so should we do an
Let's start.
exercise together? Let's do it. And actually, this is maybe more of a standing exercise. I happen to be standing at the moment.
Okay.
It would work fine if you're seated. You just sort of want to have your
I
feet.
stay seated.
Yeah, stay seated. You just want to be in some position, and everybody following along. You just want to be in a position where you can have your feet flat on the earth.
Okay.
And the logic, the idea here is pretty simple. You know, we're going to be focusing on being grounded, kind of calming some of that mental chatter, right? And the simple technique is we're basically just going to focus down on the feet, feeling how the feet connect to the earth. And, you know, why ever this works is just sort of one of those things that it's a technique that I've been shown. You know, it works for me. I've done it, you know, probably every day for a few years now, just basically, you know, feeling your feet on the earth. It just helps you, you know, notice where you are in space and time. It kind of keeps you from being dislocated in space and time, which sort of starts the mental chatter process. So at any rate, that's sort of the big picture. We're just going to kind of take the energy out of our mind, focus on our feet for a moment, focus on the spot of earth that we're standing on, and it's as simple as that. So at any rate, let's maybe take a moment to start here as you just feel your feet on the earth. And it's always kind of helpful if you close your eyes for this one so that you're not distracted, tuned in to all those things that you see up at your eye level, but just simply close the eyes. Notice if you can feel your right foot, how it connects to the earth. Notice if you can feel your left foot connected to the earth. And there's nothing to do, nothing to accomplish here. The idea is just to simply allow yourself to be, allow yourself to notice your present state, and specifically just simply how the feet contact the earth. You might notice there's an outer edge of the right foot that's in contact with the earth. And likewise, you might take a moment to notice the left foot has an outer edge as well. Sort of start to kind of map out where your feet are on planet Earth, and notice there's an inner edge to each foot, and you might notice, of course, on the inner edge, it kind of lifts up away from the earth at the arch of the foot, and just start to notice all of those points of contact of the feet on the earth. Notice which parts of the foot are touching the earth, which parts of the feet are not touching the earth. And now if you could maybe sort of imagine for a moment like a rectangle, your feet sort of have four corners. There's an inside and an outside corner at the back. an inside and an outside corner at the front, sort of near the heels, inside and outside, the balls of the feet, the inside and the outside. And we're just going to start to notice the outside corners of your heels. Take a moment to focus on the outside corner of the right heel. Take a moment to notice the outside corner of the left heel. And then there's nothing to do, nothing to think about. Just simply allow in that right foot, the outer corner of the heel, to sink into the earth. Maybe just a hair's width deeper. You get a stronger connection to the planet, to the earth underneath you. And then bring your attention over to your left foot, noticing the outside edge of the heel on the left foot. And again, there's nothing to do, nothing to think about. Just allow that outer left heel to sink into the earth. Make contact with the earth underneath you. Maybe it sinks in a hair's width deeper or so. And you might notice how your feet feel on the earth, if they feel any different, if they feel the same. Again, it's fine. It's not about doing anything, rather just noticing, right? Even starting maybe to get the sense that the earth underneath you is going to support you. It's going to be there to hold your body up no matter what happens. And then let's bring our attention to the front inside corners of the feet, kind of near the big toe, focusing on the front inner corner of both feet. Notice how the front inner corner of the right foot touches the earth. Notice how the front inner corner of the left foot touches the earth. And just allow those front right corners of the feet to sink in. There's nothing to do, nothing to accomplish. Rather, just give permission to kind of the big toe area to sink into the earth, maybe a hair's width or so deeper. And then notice how that front inner corner, the back outer corner are touching the earth. And now imagine like a diagonal of connection, kind of going up through the arch from the outside corner of the heel to the big toe area. Feel those two areas connected through the arch, maybe visualizing like a little golden line of connection that goes from the outer heels to the big toe areas, connecting those points that are grounded. Maybe just set your intention to keep that as we bring our attention now to the inner heel. Just simply noticing how the inner heels touch the earth. And we give them permission, just allow the inner heels to sink, make deeper level of contact with the earth without doing anything, just giving those inner heels permission to sink in. And then let's bring our attention to the front outer corners of the feet, the kind of pinky toe area. And again, nothing to do, nothing to think about, just simply allow those pinky toe areas to sink deeper into the earth, giving it permission, allowing it to happen. And we're going to have a second diagonal from the inner heel to the pinky toe area. Again, you can maybe sort of imagine some sort of a connection, maybe a golden line connecting the inner heels to the pinky toe area. And again, notice that first line of connection from outer heel to the big toe. Notice that second line of connection from the inner heels to the pinky toe area. Imagining now the whole foot, those two lines of connection crossed like a letter X. And simply allow the entire foot to sink. Give both feet permission to sink into the earth. Make a little more contact. Just take a deep breath. And now we've been focusing on the bottom part of the body, the feet, in contact with the earth. And if you haven't done this before, right, maybe just take a moment to check in with your mental state, with the quality of thoughts. Maybe notice that, the mental state is still able to work, but maybe it's slowed down just a little bit. Maybe you're feeling a little bit more clear and calm in your decision-making capacity. And this is just simply what we call being grounded. There's lots of ways to find our groundedness, and yet one sort of simple technique you can do anywhere, from your couch, standing in a line at the store, is just simply to take a couple minutes a day to focus on how the feet are touching the earth and just giving them permission to sink in. It's going to help to calm that anxiety, and this is also going to help at a physical level to build a lot of strength in the legs. And again, if you do this every day just for a minute or so, it's going to build strength in the legs. It's going to bring better posture. You might even notice yourself standing a little taller, moving a little freer, just kind of allowing ourselves a moment to just simply be right here, right now on planet Earth. That's basically what's happening at the moment. The future can be the future, the past can be the past, and here you are simply connected to the planet in the present moment as it's underneath you. And again, I call this a technique that I use for grounding. Interestingly, I've been shown this technique from a variety of perspectives, from a meditation perspective, from a martial arts perspective. It's actually a technique I've seen in quite a few different places in my travel. That's maybe a little bit of my version. You're welcome to make it your own. In fact, it's going to work better if you make it your own, right? You can simply pick different parts of the feet, give them permission to sink in, feel that connection to the earth. And it might seem like nothing's happening, and yet, it's just a way to be present, connected to the earth, a way to be grounded. And, if you're not convinced that it's working, again, check in with your mental state, see if maybe you've managed to bring that level of anxiety down a little bit, just simply by focusing some attention on the bottom of your body.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Then I would like to ask you in the end, do you want to give you contact information for the people who say, okay, I want to learn from Dr. Scott meditation, or what are you teaching? Have you different kind of courses? How can I contact you? And so on. So how people can even find you, and do you do even private meditation courses, or what you offer?
Yeah, so first of all, as far as contacting me, you might check out the website is learnwithdrscott.com, is just dr, learnwithdrscott.com. There is a contact form there. It comes to me directly. If you don't like doing it that way, if you'd rather use your email, it's that same that same domain, learnwithdrscott.com. It's info at learnwithdrscott.com. And if you get in touch with me, I do private sessions. I do group sessions in person when it's convenient, more of a Zoom webinar style, like you might be seeing Kaya and I do right now. And, I do video courses as well. So I've got sort of lots of options depending, basically on what's going to work for you, what's going to be most convenient, what's going to be most practical as far as the format goes. But send me an email. It's info@learnwithdrscott.com. I will get back to you with all the different options.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you, Kaya.
Yeah. I think you were a huge help for some of the people who are watching, and at least I feel already a little bit more calmed down. And I'm sure the people who watched, they also feel more relaxed now after made this exercise. And yeah, thank you so much.
And I think that's the best we can all do, is just to find that moment of relaxation. Don't give in to the fear, the anxiety. That's probably an easy thing, and the best thing that we can be doing at the moment. So thanks for the opportunity to share, Kaya.
Bye, and have fun in Mexico.
Yeah. See you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.